how I develop software is completely fundamentally changed. And these LLMs can generate code better than most employers can actually hire for. I've come to resolve that software doesn't need to be readable by a human. It needs to be explainable to a human. If humans aren't the target audience and we don't have to dumb down the language for humans because adoption issues, and these LLMs have the entire corpus of programming language theory, what can we do with that? Are you sure you want to do this?
I am so positive.
Let's go.
I think it's essentially going to be me laughing. So what's your hot take on AI?
The economics of AI is absolutely cooked.
Explain.
There's a fantastic blog by a person called Ed, and he's got his blog called Where's Your Ed At? I recommend people read that. But also understand the economics of things can be pretty cooked. But at the same time, like, I haven't written code by hand for the last two and a half years now. Like, it's not one or the other. How I develop software is completely fundamentally changed. And these LLMs can generate code better than most employers can actually hire for.
Yeah, but when you say that the economics is flawed, you mean the fact that Anthropic and OpenAI are losing money on most of the tokens?
The only way people have found to make money is either to resell the tokens, like you build some other thing and you resell the tokens with a markup, normally 50% markup, but then you're competing directly with the labs. And apart from that, the only way we've managed to find a way to make money so far is really through selling infrastructure, sandboxes and all these types of things. Now, having said that, like, there are some alternatives to the major labs. Like, you can take GLM, run it on base 10, and it's a fraction of the price. Like, you don't need to use, this is something that's we're going to find in the next year, is we're going to find out where we actually do need the frontier intelligence, and that's going to be expensive. But you don't need frontier intelligence on every single activity and task that you do.
Yeah, but do you think that without the frontier intelligence, labs like GLM can actually progress? That's the question.
Don't care either way. Frankly, I don't care either way. The models have been good enough for at least the last year. Like, every model improvement since then has just been really a step change. Like, it hasn't really been huge. If I compare from Sonnet 3.5, when I first was getting deep with this, to now, like, in the last year, the models are pretty much the same. The hype and hysteria is different. Like, they always say it's computer security, you can hack and all these things, but like, all these models can. They know how to drive. They know how to drive Kali Linux and the standard Burp Suite tools. They always have been.
Really? You don't feel that from 3.5 to 4.5 there is a major difference?
There was a big difference from like 3.5 to like the Opus 4-ish range, but from that point forward, I mean, personally, I use a mixture between GPT 5.5 with no reasoning or low reasoning, and because the models are so really good and it's cheaper, and I use programming languages where I can actually do that type of thing, and GLM. Some of the smart
things. So you're
things,
not using Anthropic at all right now?
No.
So you're the one.
I've been known to be the one who's caused rate limits to happen in the previous years. At this stage, what you should do is find the right model for that task, and then go wherever you can get your tokens cheapest.
Fair enough.
If you're a company, you should probably check how those tokens are cheap. Like, make sure there's zero data retention, ZDR type topics. But at home, just get your tokens cheap. There was a time with ZAI, or the people behind GLM. Their yearly plan was $300 Australian.
$300 is
Yes.
like
In comparison, the Anthropic and OpenAI plans is $300 a month.
Yeah.
So some of the smartest engineers I know, they just purchase 20 subscriptions on the $300 yearly plan, and they just rip it with concurrency.
Well, that's really when you put it side by side.
Yes, because the models are already good enough. It's
Yeah.
it's about how you use the models.
Really, it's really fun to think about it like that.
Yeah.
I have to say. When we talked earlier, you mentioned that you experiment with a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
Can you maybe share a little bit more?
Sure. I guess the thing that, like, back in January, I started talking about Loom and like a product factory and the idea of a software factory and something where it would optimize a business function. And it's there in GitHub, and it's not really usable, and I don't intend it to be usable because it's research. Software factories are very hard to do right now. Very, very hard. I've kind of, the last 6 months, thought that we either need the models to get better, or we need better programming languages, or we need to revisit some old techniques from computer science, like simulators, etc.
But the models you said are getting better.
They're
better enough.
marginally better. They're good enough. So from there, I started playing around with rebuilding. Like, I've done Loom a couple of times now, like 4 or 5 times last 2 years. Like, because ultimately what I want to do is to replace GitHub. I want to bring back Fabricator, which is an old engineering system that predates GitHub. It's the engineering system of Meta originally, back in the early days. And from there, I've been playing around with, okay, what are the units that I need to be able to pull these things off? So, like, currently I've got loops running where I'm rebuilding a new source control system that has where the contents are encrypted, and users or agents get a claim, and that provides a materialized view, meaning you can have ACLs, meaning so if you've got some source control and you want to share it out with a contract or whatever, you can just share out a subpath. So very similar to you think about Windows file permissions. This is something that hasn't really been a thing. It's normally you've got the Git repo, it's everything. I think Git is somewhat end of life. Like, stop trying to extend things into Git.
But why do you think that? Like, I think Git, like, I kind of like GitHub.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, why, or even if it's out of spite, that's okay as well.
Yeah, it's because with respect, you haven't seen a better source control system or a better engineering system. So
yeah, that's probably the only one I've seen. So
yeah, so I think there's some like Google has Piper. Meta has EdenFS and Modern OK and Sapling. Google's got some really interesting refactoring tools, got Rosie, etc. And I'm thinking, like, ooh, like, GitHub is just not good enough. And I was just playing around. So I'm just playing around with this. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want it, but also I'm playing around because it's essentially a distributed system. I'm building it with a simulator. So everything is I'm building the simulator first, and I'm driving the agent to validate through the simulator, and that's actually keeping the agent on the rails really well. Now I'm using Rust for that. That's very good for like high performance topics. But I've also been playing around. I did a small little detour back in March. I picked up OCaml again because it's got an effect system built in. And I was playing around with the idea the last 40 years of computing is all been designed around humans.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have a console for a computer? It's because we used to have mainframe operators. And I guess if you're familiar with the notion of unikernel operating systems, okay, think about most people develop an application, and that application runs on an operating system. What if the application was the operating system?
So the application, as in the application
is the operating system?
Then you will need a lot of operating systems.
That's a lot of work. They're very thin, not much overhead. But think about how most software gets breached. Most software gets breached because they either find an exploit in the operating system layer, or they find an exploit through the app layer, which then gives them a foothold into the OS layer. So I started playing around with unikernel operating systems, and OCaml it's got a thing called Mirage OS, which allows doing that. And I rebuilt essentially Erlang as a distributed operating system. I'm doing really weird things to figure out what is the limits and possibilities. Sometimes it's a dead end, but sometimes just knowing that it's possible and where it works and doesn't work in this allows you to actually rethink about the last 40 years of computing and why can we delete instead of building?
I know, that's literally research, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, most of the time.
Can I
it's dead
falsify
ends.
what I hold to be true? So I've somewhat there's a common thing people are saying that software should be readable, so humans can understand it.
They're still saying that?
Yeah,
I
very
feel
much
that
so.
a lot of people are not saying that anymore.
Still very much so. Now, I've come to resolve that software doesn't need to be readable by a human. It needs to be explainable to a human. So, for fun, I recommend people try Haskell again, even if they've never tried it before. It doesn't matter if you don't know it. The LLMs know it. And you won't understand it. But you can actually copy in a function and say, what is this?
And they explain it to you well?
Explain it to me as if it was to my son or daughter. And it would explain it really well. And it becomes all of a sudden this very cryptic math function turns into something accessible that it reads like Python. So I'm starting to play around these ideas. I still think there will be a convergence of programming languages. All operating systems eventually converge into Mac, Linux, Windows. But there used to be AIX, Solaris, HPUX, IRX, and all these things. There was a convergence event. Have a look at all our programming languages today. All the programming languages have been designed around, in some way, around an accessibility to humans.
Specifically Python, I think it's
Correct.
very clear that this is the method.
But now that humans aren't writing the code, why is that a design goal? Can we falsify that?
So you're trying to think of a new programming language.
I've been playing around with these ideas and collecting other nerds who are thinking similar as such. Because why are we still prioritizing the human if the human's not the one writing the code? Why do we have the design decisions with operating systems if humans are not actually operating the machines anymore? Most people, they don't even, they get a Docker container, they put it in a Kubernetes cluster, and then the control loop manages it. It's not humans managing it anymore. So we can potentially use this to rewrite things. So I'm playing around with the idea that, some languages are going to be end of the road. They're dead. If we want to do things such as software factories. For example, Python doesn't have built-in types. And types are a form of verification. If you want to have a code base maintainable with agents, you'll notice that a code base in Rust is much more maintainable.
Because it has a lot more...
It has the types, and these types provide a form of back pressure and compiler errors that the LM will automatically fix. If you want to go up a degree higher to that, then you can go play around with some Haskell, which is even more stricter than Rust. And then you got down a little lower end of the power continuum, you have Ruby, Python, PHP, Perl, because they don't have the type. It's very hard to bolt in these things as a first-class citizen. It's very hard. And other things I've been playing with is some ideas that a lot of the languages have been designed by committees. And
which one, for instance?
Any of the languages, they evolve through committees. And the pace of language development is way too slow.
So
because we've slowed it down to the rate that a human would be able to learn a concept. I remember when monads was introduced into .NET. I think it was 3.5 by Eric Meyer, who did a talk here yesterday. And that took an easy 5 to 8 years before people were comfortable with using these concepts. It's a concept.
It's not surprising.
It's a concept from functional programming, and like we're talking about flat map here, to be straight. And now that's everywhere. So I've been thinking, like, what if humans aren't the target audience and we don't have to dumb down the language for humans because adoption issues, and these LLMs have the entire corpus of programming language theory? What can we do with that?
So you want the LLM to write the
Yeah,
program?
and Eric's been playing with this. It's essentially saying, you LLM, you have the domain knowledge, you write it, you express the grammar.
Do you have any initial results? Like it's
Nothing at this stage. We're all just playing with this new substrate.
But this seems really exciting. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought about the fact that this is actually like holding us back. The fact that
Yeah.
humans have to adopt that. But
Consider a CTO. A CTO is like, oh, you want to hire someone? It's like, well, before AI, it's like, oh, we need to hire a Ruby person, but over here is also a .NET, so we're going to have a separate team for .NET. And this thing over here of a company acquired, that's Java. So all of a sudden, you're maintaining a minimum of 3 different teams or teams of teams just on some tribal ideology of a programming language. And now you can run loops to port from one language to the next language. So the languages are fungible now, but there are properties and power that will make them work better with LLMs.
so now all of them will speak the same language. It's
Well,
kind of like
I'm
that.
already seeing it. Like tech leaders, they run the loops and they're migrating down to a singular stack. Instead of having this fragmented tech stack, they just like in Australia, I remember a founder in the medical space. They had some old ASP.NET web forms. This is IIS. Terrible. I did it. And they wanted to migrate across. And I challenged him. It's like, you run some loops and you go back to your team, and the next morning don't tell them that you're doing it, and get some estimates of how long they reckon will take the rewrite. And he was going, it's going to be like years. And a week later, it's like, the migration's done. He
With
did it all
LLMs?
he did it all himself. He completely mogged his engineering team.
I'm guessing some people lost their job there.
No, there was no job losses, but that does cause a bit of hysteria when they see the power of these things. But like, languages are fungible now. Classically, Bun was rewritten from Zig to Rust through loops, because it's very easy to verify the end result. So the porting between languages from one language, or stealing an idea from one language, or one library that's in Golang but I want it in Rust, is easy now. It's been easy for at least a year now. So the net outcome in the destination to me is, it is provably true that languages are fungible. It doesn't make sense from a business point of view to carry so many languages. So either we converge down to Mac, Linux, Windows, like a couple gilded languages, or there's something new arises from the dust.
So,
I don't know what it's going to be.
But you suspect like within a year we'll see the difference, or even less?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't
think it's
know.
always hard to...
The applied programming language designers, we're talking, there's like really like 10 to 12 of them in the world that are really, really good. And most of them have specialized their career on human accessibility. So it's going to take some people in the fringe and comp sci who spent their entire time saying, no, you can't do that, and you can't do that because no one will learn it, realizing and hearing the message that no, that's now falsified. You can do it. The LLM will do it for you. You can actually take research that's 20 years old and like put it together.
Just have to be able to adopt.
Well, you don't even necessarily need the adoption. Think about this: if you've got some like sick V8 hot rod, like, would you share it with the world? It's an unfair advantage. Maybe you do share it with the world. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Why would you care if everyone is like on a horse and you're in a V8? Why would you care? Why would you care about that? Be like, yeah, enjoy that horse, mate. That's the reason that this area is actually interesting, is because we're like, is there a way to go faster? Is there a way to go faster?
Either.
I don't know.
I guess we'll have to find out.
Because by faster, I don't mean the programming language is faster, but it's like, can we incorporate more ideas from verification into our language and stop optimizing humans and optimize agents? Because if we look at Python, a breaking change of Python 2 to 3, it took maybe 15 years. I don't know the exact. It took a long time to and there's wounds on this topic. You must not break users and humans. It takes a long time to recover after breaking. So everyone's like, no, we do not make breaking changes. But what happens if the language designer ships a skills pack and the agent just does the auto migration? So there's all these things that are really interesting to play with in ideas.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. Thank you so much
Right.
for coming today. For coming to the podcast today. I really opened my mind about a lot of things.
Yeah. Keep curious. Thank you.
Thank you.